athletes a certain number of hours each season, and in some seasons they couldn't work with them at all. And I got frustrated seeing these people coming in doing extra work trying to improve themselves when in fact they were developing horrendous habits on the erg that were setting them backwards, essentially, because they would have to unlearn what they've learned, deal with all that muscle memory to try, and then try to correct that once they got out on the water. So their fitness may have improved, but their style and technique definitely would hold them back at that point. So I came up with an idea one evening and quickly bent some tubing and attached it to the seat of the erg and made it adjustable. And one of the coaches said, you know, you should really try to do this. So I went through the whole process of manufacturing it with a partner, and this is the final result. The whole idea is to give a reference, both visual and kinesthetic, to what your hands are doing in relation to your seat. And that's what's going to tell you if you're connected in the first part of the drive. And it also provides a reference to your hand height and a whole bunch of different other things that simplify the rowing stroke. The way I view the rowing machine is it's rowing at its most elemental. Everything is linear. Out on the water, we're dealing with up and down and feathering and tipping. On the erg, it's straight forward, straight back, and everything is focused towards moving in the proper direction. So there's no upward movement, no lifting, nothing. There are no extraneous movements needed to spin this wheel. So the best way to view what I'm about to do is from the side. So I think I'll actually turn this way. So, and it adjusts for height and adjusts for length as well. So pretty much anybody can be accommodated by it. So let me get it sort of dialed in as to where I am. And this, both Irene and I will explore this when we're out on the water. This is sort of what I call the resting position or gliding position. It's the hands forward, body forward position. So I have to make an adjustment here to put this where I want it. So this is sort of the basic position that we use. I'm actually going to put it a little bit farther for us, right? So this is the hands away, body forward position. And I have my knuckles actually touching the crossbar. So now I know where I am. And this is the position I want. So this device will now tell me what I'm doing in relation to my seat and what the handle's doing. So when I come up to the catch position, I'm still in that position. My body hasn't changed. My seat hasn't changed relative to my hands. So now my goal is to apply the legs first, then the back, and then finally the arms. And then at the finish, my goal is to get back to that position and repeat it again. So it's just a frame of reference. So that's it in a nutshell. But there are other aspects that I enjoy with this machine is that we can force ourselves, because this rowing of the machine is so linear. I like to see the handle being at one height for the whole rowing stroke, which we can't do on the water. So I like to see everything very linear. Now, this will tell me, you can see that I was very smooth and controlled one height. I wasn't lifting with my back, I wasn't throwing my head around. So this will tell me if I'm deviating from this basic position. If I'm shooting my tail, okay, if I'm lifting with my back, I come away from the crossbar. And because I now have this crossbar below, if I'm dragging across the crossbar, I know I'm pulling in too low. And then another thing that will tell me is if some people will come up and then they'll go for a little bit extra reach beyond what they need. And typically what happens when people go for that little extra reach, then the first thing they have to do is get back to that position. So what you want to do is you want to achieve that position, maintain that position coming in and out of the catch. And having said all that, I like this tool at lower stroking rates. Certainly at paddle pressure, it shows you the proper form. I think you'll find when you're rowing on this with this that there's some blending that occurs with the back and legs at the catch at higher pressure and higher rates. Because otherwise you really are isolating just the legs, and your back is not, it's going to be very difficult to have the quickness of this leg speed to keep that crossbar there. Does that make sense what I just said? So the goal when we are out on the water is there will be times when Irene and I will say quicker legs. It isn't necessarily that the pressure's not there, but what we're trying to get to is the quickness of the legs versus the lifting of the back with the combination of the legs out of the catch to generate that speed. I'll say that again. So at higher stroke ratings, it's easier to generate the speed of the oar handle, by pushing the legs and combining that with the back. So that way you've got two forces working on that blade to generate speed. What Maureen and I will say occasionally at the higher stroke ratings is quicker legs. It's not pressure that we're after a change. We're after quicker change of direction with the legs. Does that make sense to everyone now? So that's a very subtle difference. And I remember working with a national team coach in the final years of my rowing career when I actually just began to learn how to row properly. And he was hammering at me, faster legs, faster legs, faster legs. And I was just cranking as hard as I could. I was killing myself, and then just sort of chuckling to himself in the coaching line. But that's not what he was after. He was after quicker legs and isolation.
Sometimes coaches say, go over practice, it's essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
From the same rate, the same pressure, but you're holding it back full.
Right, you're holding this position and isolating the legs. So you have to have quicker legs isolating the back out. So yes, that's the same idea. So let me just quickly review. So we're trying to get to that glide position. So this is a reference for that. It's a reference for overextending into the catch. It's a reference for shooting your tail as far as the power application. It's a reference for lifting with the back. And then pulling in too low. And it's also an excellent reference to just get very linear on the recovery. Like I said, rowing in the erg is rowing at its most basic level. Anything you'd like to add?